Hello, what is it, Eddie, and welcome to ranking Premier League managers from the 18-19 season all the way up to, obviously, this season. Well, that's it. I don't know what you'd call it. But anyway, let's get right into it. So the first one we're going to rank is Gary O'Neill. Honestly, I think he's done a great job to keep them in the Premier League. The favourites to get relegated, to keep them in the Premier League, I think is an absolutely sensational job. And for a young manager that's pretty much got zero experience, starting off from an interim manager at the club and then to be appointed first team manager, and even then people are expecting him to just run out of momentum, but he's kept it going, picked up some big wins this game and some big memorable games this season as well, like the Bournemouth game, obviously winning against Liverpool as well. Sensational stuff, so I think he's done a great job. Next one is Thomas Frank. Honestly, decent. Even though you feel like decent should be above good, but I mean decent below good, but I put decent above good. Anyway, Thomas Frank, decent job. Great job at Brentford, to bring them in. Not that much money spent. He's developed players, good system. He's got the best out of some players which elsewhere haven't done amazing. But yeah, he's done a great job, Thomas Frank. Next one is Munoz. Honestly, Munoz done an okay job, but I don't know why he got sacked. Honestly, one of the worst decisions Watford have done, I think, that I've ever seen. To sack Munoz when I think they beat Leeds and then literally sacked him, I think a day later for one of the favourites to go down. I think he had the mid-table. He's a Watford-loved man, and honestly, one of the worst decisions I've seen. Next one is Eddie Howe. Honestly, a goated manager to take Newcastle into Champions League football for the first time since, I don't know. Right, but anyway, what a job he's done. And not even on the biggest of budget either. They've spent very little. Well, they haven't spent very little. They still spent a decent amount. But compared to some of the other clubs that they're ahead of in the league table, and there's some teams that below that spent more money, like Chelsea, they spent more money. Newcastle are above them, who has Villa. Villa has spent more money than Newcastle. Newcastle are above them. There's so many clubs that have spent a lot of money. But Eddie Howe has done brilliant. He still has spent a decent amount, but nowhere near as much as some of the teams that are below him. Right, okay, anyway, Javi Garcia, honestly, a bad manager. I would put him in Actually, I'm going to put him not great. I think the only reason why is the FA Cup final. That's it. To take Watford into an FA Cup final was quite good, actually, but however, if that FA Cup final wasn't there, if he didn't do that, honestly, I'd put him in either bad or awful. I'd probably put him in bad, because he still picked up a few decent wins, with some clubs. Finished good with Watford as well, but with Leeds, well, in all fairness, he did do alright with Leeds, apart from them 3 or 4 games that he conceded 9 goals in every game. Next one is Jurgen Locatelli. A little bit hard to rank him already, but I think he's done an okay job at Wolves. I feel that's the best I can say. A little bit too early to speak about him at the moment. Next one's Marco Silva. What a job he has done at Fulham, honestly. To take Fulham, another club that was one of the favourites to go down, a bit of a yo-yo club. I'm actually going to put him above Gary O'Neill because he's done a great job at Fulham. So almost had to take them into European football. They weren't far off. They weren't far off at all, Fulham. So yeah, I'll put them in the good category. Next one is Jose Mourinho. I'd probably put him in the I mean, since he's left Spurs haven't been the same. And one of the worst decisions to sack him. Like sacking the manager that's known for cup finals and winning trophies. But they've sacked him before a trophy game, which Spurs haven't won a trophy for ages. I'm going to put him in the good category. I think he did do a good job with Spurs. Sorry at the defence. He did have however, towards the later end, before he got sacked, he wasn't doing great, but he still had them competing for the top 4 and now. So I think he done a good job. Next one is Ryan Mason. Yeah. The only thing I think I'm going to put against Ryan Mason in bad, he's never had he hasn't had a full, stint, if that makes any sense. He's had caretaker roles, at the club, at Spurs twice, and he obviously hasn't had a transfer window to his name. He obviously did play in the Caretaker Cup final, so yeah, I think otherwise I'd have put him in awful, but I think bad just to keep things fair, because he hasn't really had the time you know, to try it with Spurs, and obviously it had no transfer window, no money to spend. Next one is Antonio Conte. He didn't do great. I didn't... Actually, you know what? Honestly, I've got to base him on his Spurs stint. Considering the manager he is and the calibre he's done, he didn't do well with Spurs. They did do well to win a few odd games, and they were still competing for the top four, and they just went for a phase where they were like that. Which Antonio Conte is a great manager. This is me ranking not of their manager capabilities, because if so, you know, Antonio Conte and Mourinho would be in the GOAT category. This is ranking of how they did as a manager with their clubs, and I don't think Antonio Conte did a great job with Spurs. Next one is Cooper. I think Cooper done a good job at Forest. Obviously, I think he has one of the best home records in the Premier League. I think they haven't lost that many games at the City ground. Obviously, to keep them in the Premier League, and of a sensational achievement as well for Forest, getting them into the Premier League as well for the first time in like 27 years or something. What an achievement! Next one is Patrick Vieira. I'm going to put him in the okay category. Actually, no. I'm going to put him in the not great category, actually. But I'm going to put him ahead of Conte. Because he did bring in some really good players, you know, to Crystal Palace, like Anderson, Guehi, Elise. And they played some amazing football, you know, Crystal Palace at times. But they just struggled. Despite they had so many good attacking players, they did struggle to put the ball in the back of the net. Next one is Rafa Benitez. Awful. Need I say more? Right, Nuno. This is ranking Nuno off his Spurs stint. Not great, was it? Not great. Not great. Actually, was he at Wolves during the time? In the 2018-2019 season? I think he might have, so I'm actually going to move him up to the... okay bit, because I think he done a great job with Wolves. But then again, you know, he was still a little bit, you know, dodgy at times. But he did alright with Wolves. And then he obviously went to Spurs, didn't do well there. But then again, he was sacked quite soon. I felt like he was always... He always had it up against him, I think. Next one is Bruno Lage. Awful. Honestly, I would put him below Rafa. Awful. Absolutely shocking. David Moyes, he has done an absolutely phenomenal job with West Ham. Recently, this season, not great, but then again, he won the Conference League, you know, to get them into the Europa League, which is a fantastic achievement. But to compete with West Ham for, I think, you know, for European football, you know, obviously win the Conference League with little money to spend as well, he has done a phenomenal job. Next one is Nigel Pearson. Not great. Not great. Not great. Even though I do think he was harshly sacked, but not great. Next one is Steve Bruce. Not great either, because he done well to keep Newcastle up, and I think he done better than I thought he would have, but still not great, was he? Next one is Slaven Bilic. I feel so... Why did Slaven Bilic get sacked, man? Why did he get sacked at West Brom? He did an okay job. I know they did go on Little Lumo, but he got sacked after drawing against Man City, who later on got 100 points. What? I really don't get it, man. Frank Lampard, honestly, bad. I mean, the only thing that keeps me about Frank Lampard, Champions League with Chelsea, you know, obviously winning against Atletico Madrid. But apart from that, keeping Everton up, I guess. But apart from that, I can't really say anything more positive about Frank Lampard. I don't think he's... I can't really put him... Nah, I've got to move Pearson down to bad, I think. So, yeah. Next one is going to be Ralph Hasenhüttl. Not great. Even though I do think they had their moment, Southampton, the Hasenhüttl, where they played some really good stuff, and they did climb the league table, but he really lost the plot. Ralph Hasenhüttl, and obviously 2 9-0 defeats, obviously not the greatest. Next one is Bielsa. He done an okay job at Leeds. You know, he done his job, really. You know, he done his job. You know, he guided Leeds up there, kept them in the Premier League. Did kind of lost his way because, obviously, stubborn, or was he loyal to his tactics, or even that, or loyal to players, and yeah. Next one is Chris Wilder. not great. First season at Sheffield United, great. Second season, one of the worst teams in the Premier League history. Yeah. Right, next one is Sam Allardyce. Ranking off his West Brom and Leeds stint. 2 relegations. Even though I do really rate Sam Allardyce, but 2 relegations, you can't really call him great, can you? Ruben Selles. I'm going to put him here. Bad. I don't think he's that great, Ruben Selles. He done a brilliant v Chelsea. He picked up a few good results for Southampton. Got them actually playing some really good football. Good transfers as well. Bringing in players like Soleimani, Alcaraz. But, yeah, not good. Unai Emery. Honestly, decent. The job he's done at Villa was absolute. The job he's done at Villa is absolutely incredible. You know, is absolutely incredible. To guide the club, I think they were like 18th or 19th when Gerrard left them. And, you know, a club which most people thought they were going to be, you know, in and around down there. Even though they have made plenty of signings, plenty of decent players. But they've done that a few windows ago and they struggled to skate up by the skin of their teeth. But Unai Emery, what a job he has done with Villa. I'm not going to put him in the GOATed category, not yet. Just because I do feel like they obviously, he's still got a bit of a while to go, Emery. And I think his end of his Arsenal stint is counted into this. And obviously that kind of drags him down just a tiny bit for me. So I'll put him in the decent category. Next one, who is this? This is De Zerbi. He has done a decent job. I'm going to put him on David Moyes just for the fact now, just purely because of, you know, like the fact that he spent a little time at Brighton still, De Zerbi. But I honestly feel like if Brighton continue the way they are, he would go in the GOATed category for me. But right now, decent. Next one is Graham Potter. I don't know, because I've got to rank off his Brighton and Chelsea stint. So I've got to go in the middle. I've got to put him in the okay category, like the top end of okay, because he's done absolutely incredible with Brighton. You know, they've played some great football, great transfers, you know, but then again, obviously his Chelsea stint massively brings that down. If we talk about just his Brighton stint, I would put him in the top end of good, but the Chelsea stint drags him down a level. Next one is Erik ten Hag. I think he's done a good job with Manchester United. I think I would put him here. I think just purely because obviously a season again. Didn't start off the greatest, Erik ten Hag, but he has guided Man United back to the Champions League. Actually, no, I've got to put ten Hag a little bit higher than this, don't I? I've got to put ten Hag a little bit higher than this. I don't know what I'm thinking. I've got to put him in the decent category. So I think to guide Man United back to, you know, the Champions League, I think it's a sensational achievement. Brought in some absolute world-class players, well, like Varane, Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez. Great player. Jesse Marsh, I mean, kept Leeds up, you know, for his first season. Didn't necessarily do great in the second part. Should they maybe have kept him looking back on it? Probably. But at the same time, I think I've got to put him in the top end of bad category. Next one is Dean Smith. Oh, he's not done well, has he? No, actually, no. I've got to put him. He did technically kind of keep Villa up, so I'm going to put him here, ahead of Selles, Pearson, and Mason, just purely because of the fact that he did manage to keep Villa up. Obviously, get relegated with Leicester, even though it's a bit harsh saying that because he didn't necessarily got Leicester relegated with Brendan Rodgers, but obviously it still technically kind of counts. So, yeah, and they didn't do that well, especially with the quality they had Villa under Smith. So, yeah, I'm going to put him in the bad category. And obviously Norwich as well. Actually, was he Norwich in the Prem? I think he was. Next one, Scott Parker. Honestly, can I say anything positive about Scott Parker and his time in the Premier League? Probably not. Next one, Nathan Jones. Honestly, awful. Worst manager in Premier League history. Not for the fact of the results. Not for the fact of anything like that. Purely for the fact of his attitude. It absolutely stinks. Next one is Ralph Rangnick. Honestly, Not great. He was a lunatic. Right, okay, Steven Gerrard. Awful. I don't know if he's not as bad as Nathan Jones. I don't think he's as bad as Bruno. Better than Allardyce. And I think he's probably just in behind Rafa. At least Rafa did pick up a few results with Everton. Thomas Tuchel. Goated. What a job he has done. And he's ahead of Eddie Howe for me with Chelsea. What a phenomenal job. Winning them the Champions League. What? You know, absolutely sensational. Most people predict them to go out of the round of 16. But what a job he has done at Chelsea, honestly. And one of the worst managerial sackings I've seen. Next one, Mikel Arteta. Really decent job. I'd put him ahead of Ten Hag. Do I put him ahead of... You know what? I'd put him ahead of Unai Emery. I'd put him in the decent category. Sure, in fact, he's done brilliant with youngsters, brilliant signings, fantastic coach. Won FA Cups. Unfortunately, did bottle the Premier League and Europa League, but they're getting there, Arsenal. They are improving. Carlo Ancelotti, honestly, a decent job. What a job he'd done at Everton. You know, I'd honestly, I'd put him ahead of Zerbi. What a job he'd done at Everton. I think it shows how much they've struggled Everton without him. Next one, Brendan Rodgers. Honestly, I can't put him in not great or okay. I think I've got to put him here because I think I've got to put him in the top end. I can't call him good, but I can't call him bad because won the FA Cup. You know, I believe they won the Community Shield as well, Leicester under him. You know, they played European football under him. Obviously, they did get relegated under him, but he still brought some precious moments to Leicester. Daniel Farke. I think I've got to put him in the awful category. I'll put him ahead of Gerrard, but they did play some good football. And I think that famous win with Norwich against Man City. I don't think I remember that. Pochettino, right towards the end of his stint at Spurs. Honestly, he done a goated job, Pochettino at Spurs. He really has. Brought the club consistently top 4 finishes. You know, unfortunately, couldn't manage to win anything. Champions League final. What an achievement. Next one, Roy Hodgson. Honestly, a great job he has done. He has done an absolute great job with Crystal Palace to keep them up both times. So I'm probably going to put him here. Really good job. Next one is Sean Dyche. Yeah, good as well. I think to keep Everton up, I think is a sensational achievement. You know, to keep them up, considering they were rock bottom of the league, I believe, when he took over. Great job. And final one, Claudio Ranieri for his Watford, stint. Not great. Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you guys have, make sure to drop a like, subscribe. Have a great day, everybody. See you all soon. Much love.